So in your life, if you're going to be successful, you have to be obsessed with taking on difficult things. Not just trying to do them, be obsessed about it. I have this quote, and this quote has put me in trouble a lot of times, and it's probably the reason why Wilson is in trouble. So every time I call Wilson, I used to ask him, have you reached your limit? So I always say that, how do we know what our limit is if we don't attempt to exceed them? Right? We can't tell. You don't know how fast you can run until you are chased by a lion. Do you understand? Some of you here, you think you can run. You know, most of us might be too young to know. But I remember there was a time that there was a bomb blast in Lagos. It was the cantonment. So I had a friend who lived in the Air Force Base. And he said that day, his mom at the time was 72 years old. Now, if you know the Air Force Base, the fence are very tall. He said, because when that thing happened, the first reaction that most people had was that Nigeria was in war. Because it was, especially for those people that were in the Air Force Base. He said that he saw his mom scale the Air Force Base fence. Because everybody was running, and his mom jumped over. He said that he was so impressed and shocked, he just stood there in shock while his mom jumped the fence. I'm telling you. So if you are told the mother at 72 that the fence, she'll say it's too high. But when you reach your limit, when you reach what you think your limit is, you realize that you still have some strength. So that's the first thing. Choose to do the hard things. Trust me. If you choose to do the hard things, you've solved most of your problem. The second one is like it. Don't wish things were easier. Your primary focus in life is to constantly improve. See, life, all of us, somehow, some way, wish things were easier. But the way life operates is that you have to get better for things to get easier. That's the way life is. That's why sometimes, when we listen to successful people and they talk as if it's easy, then you go and try it. It's hard for you, right? Because they are talking from a level of ease from the person they've become. It's easy for them where they are now. Right? So I tell people, there was a time that if mosquito bit you, you are dead. Nobody knew what malaria was. It was such a devastating disease. But now, you have malaria, you can easily fix it, right? The malaria parasite didn't get weaker. Human beings got better at dealing with it. There was a time, for those of us here that know how to drive, when you were learning how to drive, and at that time, you couldn't even take a call while driving. Not like taking a call is good now, but now some of us have become so good, we can do so many other things while we're driving. Driving didn't get easier, you got better. You get better, things get easier. The reason why something is, and there's a scripture that I didn't quite understand at the beginning, but it makes sense to me now. It says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. It's a very strange scripture because the day of adversity is like saying that if you lose in the day of war, it's not about the war, it's about your lack of capacity. That at every point in time, it's not about the situation that you are in, it's about your ability to handle the situation. So what you must always work on personally is to get out there and get better. Now, it ties to the first one because you can't get better if you don't try something that is more difficult than you. Okay? So you want to try it. Try something that is a lot more difficult and focus on improving yourself. The third one is I learned this when I was in secondary school. So when I was in secondary school, I was fortunate to have good friends. Because I can't take credit for that. I had good friends in secondary school. And about 3 or 4 of us, we got very obsessed with reading books. I mean, by the time I was leaving secondary school, I'd started 2 businesses, read 700 books. I mean, in fact, when I left secondary school, I was so interested. I'd read too many books of people that dropped out of school, so I wasn't interested in university. I went 2 years without going to school. My parents were bothered, but I wasn't. I was doing well. I didn't need them for anything. They didn't need me for much, So, in fact, the reason why I went to school was that I was reading a book called Making Money Out of Thin Air by Brian Scher. And in one of the chapters, he explained that one of the ways to be successful is to improve your network. And one of the best places to build network was in school. So I said, okay. So now I'm ready to go to school. So, and then I worked hard to be able to. Things weren't really well to do at the time. We were squatting in someone else's house. So I convinced my dad to sell just one of the last properties he had. Because again, if you wanted to go to a school and you wanted to network, it pays if you went to a private school. So they are sure everybody has money. So they sold something. So I went to private school, and I was responsible. I already knew how to generate money, so I was responsible for paying my school fees going forward. But at least I'm inside. So the first thing I did was I became very brilliant. I didn't like academics, but I realized that if you are very brilliant, you get to choose your friends. If you are not brilliant, you get to settle who has chosen you. Right? So I knew that the first semester of 100 level was important. If I came out the best student in class, now everybody knows. So I chose friends according to strategic reasons. Because I was broke a lot of the time, I needed to have some rich friends so that I can secure food. And then I needed to, so I had strategic friends. I was doing tutorials, but all my needs were met. I didn't have to worry about food. I didn't have to worry because, you understand? So that's why I went to school, for networking. And, it worked well. I married somebody from school, so the networking really worked. Abby? I network to my future, right? And some of my oldest business partners are people that I met in school, right? So, but this principle that I learned in secondary school is the reason why I believe it's responsible for most of what I've learned. And I learned it from a book written by Mike Modoc. He says, what you make happen for others, God makes happen for you. Right? So for me, serving and loving other people isn't just a thing that I do because I'm nice. It's actually a strategy that I practice. So if I want to get something done, I figure out who else needs this thing and how do I get them that thing so that I can get what I want. Right? It's the basis for all of the business that I've done. Right? When I was in school, I started making, one of the problems of being in a private school, especially if you are very poor, is that you're reminded of your poverty every day. Because all these my friends in school are wearing TM Lewins. How many of us here know the age of, the days of TM Lewin? TM Lewin wanted to destroy our lives back then. So everybody's wearing TM Lewin, and I don't have T or M. So I'm just, so I decided, look, you know what? There are some people that might need TM Lewins too. So one of my roommates had the TM Lewin brochures. So I borrowed all the brochures from him, studied them, looked at the pattern, looked at everything. Then I went to Lagos Market, found somebody that can sew, showed it to him, tested it out. He did it. I bought material. Material was 500, sewing was 500, 1K. So TM Lewin, if you remember, for those of us that can remember, was 7.5, right? It was 7.5 for a very long time. I was doing my own. It wasn't TM Lewin, but it looked exactly like TM Lewin. The only thing I didn't do, so that I don't copy them fully, well, TM Lewin used to have this tail at the end, at the back. So I didn't put tail in my own, But if you're talking, they won't know. So I was selling my own for 2.5, right? I started that business with 5K. I made 5 shirts. Right? So I learned a very important law called the law of reciprocity. Right? Because if you're wearing a nice shirt, if you compliment somebody's shirt, they will compliment your own. So you say, oh, nice shirt. They'll say, oh, you too, you nice shirt. Oh, I made this shirt. Now your conversation starts. Now I can sell you shirts. Right? Instead of spending 7.5 for TM Lewin, you spend 2.5 with me. You do your business very well. Right? So now I was able to sort out my own clothing needs, pay school fees, do business based off of the ability to help other people. Because inside a private school, there are very rich people and people that they're not like that rich, and then there's people like me, right? So there are people that they can't afford TM Lewin, but they can afford TM Ezekiel, right? So those 2-5 people, we collected as many of those 2-5 people, and we did quite well, right? The other business I started in school it was when I got to university. That was the first time I saw a PlayStation Portable in my life. I didn't have money, so I saw it. I was like, "What is this?" And it was such a nice device. So I went to meet the guy that was selling it. I said, "Look, I want to buy one. I don't have the money. So how much do you sell?" The guy told me. I said, "I will add 2K on it, and I'll be selling for you. Don't give me the profits. Just hold the money. When it's enough, give me one." So I helped him to sell. It was enough. He gave me one. That night, when I got to my room, somebody saw it and said they wanted to buy. What am I doing in my life? I sold it, took the money, but before I knew it, I became the guy that was selling gadgets in school. Right? What you make happen for others, God makes happen for you. Because a lot of the things that you want can happen. Then the next philosophy I want to share with you is something that some of us might not agree with, but it's really helped me. And I truly believe people are good. People are inherently good. Now, I believe that there are only about 10 bad people in the world. Now, the problem with these 10 bad people is that they move around a lot. So you see them in a lot of places. But anytime I see a bad person somewhere, I just remind myself that this is one of them. There are only 9 other bad people in this world. Aside from those 9 people, everybody else is good. You have to believe the best about people. All right? It doesn't mean that there are no bad people, but your default positioning must be that people are good. And that people are good based on their self-interest. You see, the Bible talks about the fact that every man is wise in his own eyes. It means that everybody looks out for their own interest. And you would realize that people are not all that bad if I look at Wilson and I immediately, because many of us, we invoke the terrible nature of people because we look at people, we are very clear of what we want from them, but we are not very clear on what they can get from us. So we go to them and we try to get them to be good. No. You have to be clear. If I'm meeting Ray and I need something from him, I need to be absolutely clear of what value I represent to him. Don't ask people for things if you are not useful to them. You're a burden to them. What you are invoking when you do that is that you are invoking the worst of people. Yes, because you are counting on the fact that the person wants to give you something without something that they would benefit. And then you are counting on the fact that they would do something for you that you have, by virtue of your ask, unwilling to do for them. So please, people are not as bad as you think if you think about what's in it for them. Right? What's in it for them? Why should somebody buy your product? What's in it for them? Why should somebody do business with you? Why should somebody support you? What's in it for them? Something has to be in it for them. Something. Even Jesus Christ debunked that ideology. Somebody comes to him and said, "Good master." He said, "No, I'm not good. Don't call me good." He said, "The only person that is good is God." You know why? Because God is the only person that has the right to do something for you and not expect something in return. Right? That's the truth. It's the only one. Because there is nothing you can give him that matches what he wants. At least at the scale of what he wants it. There's nothing you can give. There is nothing that you can give to God that he didn't already give to you. Anyways. So it's all his. But everybody else on the face of the earth, if you want something from them, you have to think carefully about what it is you're going to do in exchange for that. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Live on your own terms. Live on your own terms. As you become more successful, live the life that you decide. Don't live somebody else's life. Right? Don't be defined by what you wear. I'm not saying you shouldn't wear good stuff, but don't be defined by it. Don't be defined by where you live. I'm not saying you shouldn't live in a nice place, but don't be defined by it. I'm not saying you shouldn't drive a nice car, but don't be defined by it. Make sure that everything in your life is functional. Very functional. Very functional. So, I'm fortunate to have some level of success. And so in my house, we have 3 cars. And there are 3 very different cars. And I enjoy driving all 3 of them because the 3 of them it just helps me understand life. So I have a Toyota Camry. You know that one that they call big for nothing? I don't understand why they would call a car big for nothing, but very big for nothing car. There. And then I have a Highlander, right? I think it's an 09 Highlander there. And then I have a 2022 G-Wagon G63. And I like, the car I enjoy driving the most. Now, the reason why I bought the G63 is just for business. If I'm going for an important meeting so I can go there. Because in this country, my mentor tells me that God looks at the heart. But it's only God that looks at the heart. Everybody else looks at the outward appearance. I've lost a lot of projects. So I got it because I'd lost a lot of projects because, people just walk you down. So you think they're polite. They're going to check what you drove. Right? It's true. I had one project for Chevron. We met at what do you call it? 4 Points. 4 Points by Sheraton. And the guy walks me out, and then I was using a 2008. You know that 2008 Corolla, that very one. That's a nice car. He didn't call me back. Right? And then I had another meeting last year, and early this year, and it was with CIB, and it was a partnership deal that I wanted to do. The guy is walking me down. I know where he's walking me down. I know. But I came prepared this time. When we got downstairs, while he was talking, so that I can show him why he came, I unlocked the car. And if you've ever known anything about the G-Wagon, it's loud. If you jam it, it's loud. If you unlock it, everything is loud. When he saw the unlocking, he said, yes, we walk together. I said, no. I know we walk together. But the car I enjoy driving the most is that Camry. You know why? Because that Camry just helps you realize the truth of life. You see, when I'm driving that G-Wagon, everybody living in that estate for 4 years, they're saluting, hailing, greeting. When you drive, I drove the Camry one day. I've been in that estate for 4 years. The gate man stopped me and asked me that when I'm leaving, I should collect gate pass. That's when you realize that nobody knows you. They were not greeting me. It was the car that they were greeting. Right? So, and I enjoy driving that car because it's small. It's useful. I can use it to do whatever it is I need to do. But I didn't want to. So I was telling a friend one time, he said, how will you be driving such a car? I said, because the car doesn't define who I am. It doesn't. Right? Live your life. Don't let your life live you. Be short-term greedy. Be short-term generous and long-term greedy. What does this mean? It means that if you have a business and you've made 10 million naira in profit, now, don't spend the 10 million naira on other things. Ask yourself, what can I put this 10 million naira on in my business that can turn the profits to 30 or 100 million naira next year? Do you understand? Invest as much money in the business in the short term. Many of us are too quick to declare victory. You have made small change, you want to change something? No, don't do that. For example, for me, I don't make any change in my life. The way I and my wife run is we decide what we want, and we don't change that lifestyle for at least 5 years. I'm telling you. So when I bought that Camry, I didn't buy another car for 5 years. It doesn't matter what's happening in this world. for 5. That day we go just day. When I bought the Highlander car for 5 years. You know why? So that you can build wealth. When you have reached a level, even housing, when we are moving housing, we are in a house for 5 years. Minimum of 5 years. One of them even 6. So you get the house, you stay, so that because the problem is when you are trying to keep up, even including phones. See, I'm using an iPhone 16 Pro Max because it was a gift. On a normal level, now that they're in 16, my level is at 12. I used to give iPhone 4 years. So now that I've moved to 17 now, on a normal level, this is when I'll just be buying 13 Pro Max. Because by the time as 17 has entered now, 13 Pro Max will be cheap. The beautiful thing is that what the 13 Pro can do, this phone can do it. Exactly what it is. They lie to us that there's no Apple Intelligence coming anywhere. We're all just here together. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you keep changing, if you are changing your phone every year, you are losing money that could have gone into the business and helped you build wealth. Do you understand? So in the short term, right, invest more money back in your business. In the long term, be more greedy and take money out of the business. Only in the long term. So for us, there was a time when we got married back then, my wife, they used to do DSTV. Premium. I don't get any TV for my house. So when we got married, she said, let's do DSTV. I said, no, it's GoTV. GoTV was 1,008. I said, okay, what do you need for that DSTV? She said, it's movie. I said, no, wahala. Every Tuesday, we'll go to a cinema. That time it was 1K with popcorn. We'll watch it, 1K. So that's 6K every month. Because the last Tuesday in my church, is a weekly prayer meeting. Now, we used to go to Wednesday service, but we didn't go to the... I said, it will not be good for people to be casting out devil. And we're not somewhere watching film. That devil figure verse say, where all these people they come meet us where we watch film. So we respected ourselves for that day. All right? The point is, it's helped us. It's helped us massively now. There are things that we can do. There's a lifestyle that we have that is a lot beautiful now, because we delayed gratification. Next is to move fast. You're young. Speed is your friend. Move fast. You have an idea, start. Anyhow. All this planning that people are planning to start, somebody has already started, has made 5 mistakes, already understands more than you do, and you are still planning. Start. And lastly, pray. Get God's perspective. Let me explain to you scientifically why prayer is critical. You see, if you are landing, say, in Lagos airport, or if you are I always like when I fly and I'm landing in Lagos, because right beside the Lagos airport, there's a road called the Abeokuta Expressway. There's always a lot of traffic on that road, right? So sometimes when you're landing, I'm looking at that traffic, and I get a perspective that is amazing. So there is somebody in that traffic right now. And what he doesn't know is that about 10 minutes down the line, the traffic is going to free up. He's there. He's frustrated. He has caused somebody on the other car that is going to be his future father-in-law. He has almost destroyed. Do you know what I'm saying? And what he doesn't know is that 10, 20 minutes from now, the reason for that traffic will clear up and it will move. So that's why prayer is important. You see, God has a bird's eye view. Now, if I come down from that plane and I get into the car, I would not be as frustrated as that guy. Because I already have seen where the traffic is going to end. Right? And so I know. I have the ability to wait a little longer. That's what prayer does for us. You see, prayer is not about God answering your question, your prayer, or changing situations for you. Prayer is about God giving you his own perspective. It's that there's an eternal view that God has on your life that makes things make sense before they eventually do. Do you understand? There's an eternal view. I lost my brother at some point. He died. And just by understanding the eternal view, I realized that instead of being angry at the fact that he died. I should be grateful for all the time we had. I don't know if you get it. Just an eternal view. You're facing something in your life right now, right? So I'll give you an instance. My parents were separated for 5 years. 5 years. Between when I was in late secondary school into university. And you see, those 5 years were the best years of my life. Right? Because it forced me, I was living with neighbors who were homeless, and I ended up living in houses where they had a large library. And because I didn't have anything much to do, I gave myself to those books. And I read. I remember when I was in SS3, one lady came to me. I was in student fellowship, and I was tired, angry that I said, that's a good thing. She said, eh? I said, I'm in the 3rd year of that experiment now. Right? And I'm learning. I'm learning what not to do. I'm learning all this. I said, I know it's going to get sorted out. I said, but the worst part of it is for things to be sorted out and you have learned nothing. You can't get that perspective without prayer. So for me, I'm not so keen on God solving my problems. If I have a problem, don't worry. God has given me capacity to solve it. But I'm very keen on understanding what God's perspective is on the situation I'm facing. Because if it's here, then it's here to make me better. And the worst part of it is to finish a situation, be grateful that it has gone, and not understand why it came. Because if you don't, guess what's going to happen? In God's school, you keep doing the exam until you learn the lesson. Thank you very much.